Hey, it's Keith at Scheider Farms, and we're out enjoying one of these great bonus fall days. It looks like we're going to have a great weekend this weekend. So I wanted to talk just a few minutes about some things that you can do out in your yard and garden this weekend to enjoy this beautiful weather. When it comes to fall, the most obvious thing is that you have to do is pick up the leaves. Most of the leaves are down, so you want to be doing that. It's not good to leave the leaves around your plants over the winter. It just encourages diseases and pests. So the other thing that we want to do is there's some stuff we want to cut back, some stuff we want to leave, and I want to go over a few of the most common things and let you know whether I like to cut them back or leave them. So one of the first things, this is a black-eyed Susans. It's Rebecca Little Henry. Over there are some more black-eyed Susans. Those I like to leave up, and I'll tell you why, is because goldfinches love the seeds, and if you're a bird feeder, you love to see the birds and the wildlife in your garden. Those are ones you want to leave up. Coneflowers would be another great one to leave up if you want to attract finches. They love the coneflower seeds, and it gives you a little interest in the winter instead of just flat everything cut down and you have some stuff sticking up in your beds. Roses is one of the most common questions I get in the fall. I like to pretty much just leave them in the fall and cut them back in the spring. And this is why. It's November and we're still getting flowers. I still have buds coming on. I've had roses on my shrubs all the way up till like Thanksgiving or even December. So I usually just leave those and do it in the spring. If you want to shape them up, like this is kind of a long one, if you want to cut that back, maybe after it's done flowering, that's fine. I would allow that. One thing you don't want to cut back, and you see it a lot, is grasses. Half the reason, at least, that I think that I like to grow grasses is just for the winter interest. And you got the seed heads coming up. This is Spirabilus, which is prairie drop seed. One of my favorites. You can see the fine texture. It's just a great little grass. I know I'm talking about leaving a lot of things. This is another one that you want to leave up. Probably half the good thing about sedum is the winter interest also. They usually have pretty strong stems, so they stand good in the winter. It just gives you something out in your beds instead of just everything cut back. As we walk down here, and like I said, it's early November, and you can see how much green there is. You really don't want to cut a lot back until it's pretty well done growing for the year and not green anymore. We have some anemones over here. They're very green, still blooming very nicely. So we definitely don't want to cut those back. We've got some daylilies here. The daylilies are one thing that I would want to cut back in the fall and early winter. Again, these are still green, so I'm just going to leave them today. We'll cut them back though, before we get into winter. The leaves die down, they get mushy, and there's no reason to leave those. Astilbe back here we'd want to cut down. They're about done growing, and when you cut something down for the winter, I like to cut them down. I don't like to leave a bunch of stubble. So, cut them to within an inch or two, or about an inch or so of the ground, and you're good to go, and they won't hold the leaves in. Hydrangea look good for so long, but a lot of times in the winter they kind of start looking a little bit done. So it's your choice whether you want to leave them up. If you want to leave them up, fine. If you want to trim them back some, you might cut them back about like that. Cut them just above a node, so where are branches, you want to cut them just a little bit above that is where you want to cut them. Another great fall flower is plumbago right here. And so it's done flowering, but you'll notice the great fall color it gets, the reds in there. So that's one that definitely you want to leave for the winter. Over here real quick, through my gate, we've got heuchera, a very common garden plant, great garden plant. Heuchera you definitely want to leave. It's kind of a semi-evergreen, you could call it. The leaves will stay all winter, and for the most part you'll clean most of them up in the spring as you get new growth. But those leaves will stay all winter long and generally will keep some color all year. One last very common plant that we have in our gardens are hosta. So I got several different hostas in here. As you can see, there's different degrees on how much are turning, but they've all been frosted and they're all done growing. So we want to get the leaves back, and I like to just cut those off right down pretty much at ground level, because the growing point is below the ground, so you're not going to hurt those by cutting them very low. And you don't want, when they die back, they just get all mushy and it's just a mess. So we don't want to mess in our flower beds. So as you can see, there's other things out here. We have some asters, another thing that finches will eat. I've got some anise hyssop, which is still flowering on the other side, but they're still green, so we're going to leave them go and clean them up a little bit later and probably get the leaves then. So that just gives you kind of an idea what you can leave and what you should cut back in your garden. And if you're in any doubt, feel free to give us a call. And one rule of thumb is if it stands nice and you like it, just leave it go for the winter and get rid of it in the spring. And get out, that's the main thing, get out and enjoy this beautiful weather, because it's going to get cold here soon. So we will see you in the spring in the greenhouse.